Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 17 of our Exploring the CVerse series here in TEW 2020. We are on to EMLL, Extremo Moderno Lucha Libre. That is up next in our series. As always, be sure to go back through the archives, check out all the ones we've done to this point. 16 episodes before this one, looking at 16 other companies in the CVerse. More to come, but we have made our way back to Mexico, to EMLL, and they are a company that is 16th in the world. And $250,000 to work with, 35% prestige, 45% momentum, and starting off in the small category. Now, something that will stand out as we look at the size for EMLL, it is going to be a road, I think, to get to medium at 59 in the home region here, plus 35 in either this region or this region. So, it could take a little time for the path to medium for EMLL, so this is certainly could be a challenge for this company. Could be a slow path to get there, but as you'll see, there are some workers that can help, improve these numbers pretty quickly, I think, just based on the starting roster, but the path to medium could be a difficult one, but we'll see if EMLL can get there, perhaps, should you choose this company. All right, let's look at the background, as usual. Started by the legendary El Bandido. It is kind of trying to, cash in on the booming Mexican wrestling market, but doing it in a different way because it's not just the Lucha Libre style, right? As you can see here, it's more of the dark fantasy type feel, blending the comic book horror movie together. And what do you get? You get EMLL. No tag team wrestling. Keep that in mind. That's what makes this company different too. And as you can see here, it's really all about the head-to-head matches between individual wrestlers in the style of a beat-em-up video game. So that is a more fantasy-type feel, but adding a little dark element to it as well. So that is at least, a unique selling point. Perhaps if you want to try that out and do something completely different, EMLL could certainly offer that there. All right, to the product we go. And it is Dark Fantasy Lucha. Grindhouse Lucha Libre is the core product of this one. And as we said, you're really blending dark characters with dark storylines. Although you still, have to look at the match quality. That's going to be important. But you do have those elements specifically, which leads to hardcore matches and sort of the faster up tempo spectacle type matches. Remember, as a starting point, these are all one-on-one matches. You could certainly introduce tag team wrestling if you want to, but it is all about singles matches in EMLL. It's really, there are a lot of different things you have to look at when you are trying to achieve some of these goals, perhaps. But something of note here, the match focus is 3-ring circuit. So what does that mean? If you go in here, you can obviously look at and see that that's going to be more, averaging the main event plus the 2 highest rated other matches. You probably don't have to worry about this. My guess is you're probably going to have more than 2 matches on the card, so you don't have to worry about this part. But it is, it's not just your regular focus in terms of the way it's calculated here. So do keep in mind, it's the average of the main event plus the 2 other highest rated matches. So that's worth noting there as you look at sort of the segment ratings and those kind of things. Do have the face heel divide as the Technico and Rudos, but it's not enforced. So you don't have to worry about that. The style itself, you can look at here before we get to the TV. You're going to have, decent percentage of angles because you are kind of building up these storylines and characters. It's the fantasy type feel, so you've got to have those. But the style is brutal for the workers because you do have these high intensity type matches. And so, you're going to have to probably get some injuries, I would guess, involved in this. But it is a style that's going to wear down workers a little bit quicker. So that's worth noting there. Match aims, as always, we look at, you're going to have on each show. You're going to have storytelling, but you're also going to have either a hardcore, wild brawl, car crash, or mayhem. So, hey, at least you've got options there, right? So you got to have this one for sure, but then you can pick one of these 4 to meet those match aims for the starting product. And as usual, you can always change this product if you want, but this is just a starting point. And so, yes, these are very important to meet those things there. Probably not the best company to find sponsors with, given those dark elements, hardcore stuff, as we said. So that's not a surprise. And the usual kind of Lucha Libre stuff is involved here. You can have the crazy bumps to boost the segments, forcing people to unmask. Those are all huge type deals, which, again, that's kind of the classic nature of Lucha Libre. So There's a look at your product, and on to the event schedule for this one. This is an interesting event schedule. It looks normal on the surface, but it's actually not when you dive into more of the background here. So, something that you will see right off the bat. In May, you have events, back-to-back weeks here. So, you've got the Dark Universe on week 3 of May. You got the Return from the Dark Universe on week 4 of May. So, look, that's where you can certainly lean into the fantasy element. Decide what does that mean for you if you're running this company. Like, what could be something very interesting to do for this week and this week using these theme names. That's one of the fun parts, I think, of playing the CVerse, is that you make it your own, but this is kind of a unique one here because it's like, all right, what could I do to make this feel very special going from here to here? So that's kind of a fun little twist I like in the schedule with that. But what you also have is looking at all the other different stuff, and we'll get to it in a second. Some of these on the surface just look normal, right? But we'll talk about in a second why some of the titles are actually going to play into these shows and what they mean. So that's worth noting. Certainly have no, broadcasting deals. You don't have any coverage anywhere. So that's not that surprising, but something you can work towards as the company continues to grow there. But all right, let's talk about the titles, because that plays into the schedule actually. So here's your basically your world championship is this one here. So this is your top title, 41% prestige on this. Now, what you have is the unique element of the 3 Rings of Power titles. So there are 3 different titles here that are all, as we see here, part of the 3 Rings of Power. So that came into the storyline starting in 2017. So the Ring of Chaos is this one. Now, it's your annual Battle Royal. It's every February. So if we go to the event schedule, right? Like every February, the Avatar of Chaos. So that's probably a show where you're going to add in, an element of that title. So that title is going to be defended in the Ring of Chaos every February. So so like that's what you're aiming towards there. Now you've got the Ring of Destiny, which is held by Death's Head right now, and it is a tournament. So where the winner can claim a title shot. So essentially, kind of using a tournament to set up a title shot for that person. Can be defended outside of the tournament. So it takes place at the Destiny Crisis, which I think that is going to be December, I'm pretty sure. If you look at I know I just said it there, but I want to make sure. Yeah, so it's every December. So you've got a tournament title every December to look at there. And then you've got the Ring of Life, where this is going to be a 4-way match that's only held once a year, every August. So it'll take place at the Battle for the Ring. So there you go. Those are the 4, and this is the most powerful one, is in August, is the Ring of Life, because of course, life, chaos, and destiny. Give me life in that one. So that is what you're looking for there. And so again, that's kind of a very interesting, and I really like the twist that it has on the titles here, because part of the 3 Rings of Power, once again, what does that mean in your save? Like, what can you do story-wise to kind of play that up? That's something else you can kind of think of as a fun element to use here, whether in your storylines or just, tying it in somehow. What does that mean? So, those are kind of fun to look at it. And I did forget to mention Mortal Kombat, which, there you go. That's your season finale. That takes place in April. So, there is that. So, all right. So, we really don't have a lot to run through here because, as I said, this is a company that is small and, ranked 16th, so not bad. But, there are no stables. There are no tag teams. You do have starting storylines. You need to bump those up a little bit because they're not meeting the requirement right off the bat. But you do have a pretty hot storyline right off the bat here between these two, and we'll talk about these two in a second because they're kind of the foundation of the company roster-wise. But you've got a 48 segment that can really push you forward. A Rudo on Rudo feud, so that's something pretty cool. That's different too. You play up how do you play up a feud between heels, which if you watch my WWE save, I tend to have a lot of those, it seems. But it's not normal, but not for WWE at least. It can be for this one. But so looking at the other stuff, like I said, there's really not a lot to go through here. Backstage, you're fine. You got some negative influences, but hey, who doesn't in these companies pretty much? So everything else, there's no child company, no developmental, no training. You do have the relationship with CZCW, so that's something that's appealing. I like that aspect because we talked about CZCW in one of our other saves. I don't remember if that was 12 or 13 episode in this series, but you can go back and find that one. But there's a lot of good workers in CZCW, so it's kind of fun to think about who you could bring in there if you want to do the talent trading. But again, that's about it. So you really have to kind of go into the roster now. And you start with this group of 3, and these are clearly the ones we just talked about. Guerrero Muerto here, and Snake King having the hot storyline with these two. So Captain Lucha, the top star, 37, got a lot of great ratings. It's pretty, like I said, here's what I will say too. And I haven't done this for everyone in this company, but like if you're going to play as EMLL, I think what is really the biggest part is probably reading the bios, because I think that can really play into embracing, like we said, sort of the dark fantasy element of this company, is really looking at the history, playing into that history. That's probably the way that you can have the most entertainment value with this company, is my guess. But again, we're not going to read through every person's bio on this thing here, but that is something I think you can really lean into. So, it's really kind of fun to look at that. So, he's, Captain Lucha is your top star, but as we said, you got 2 guys. This has always been this is just tremendous. I love this. I love the masks. You guys know when we talk about these companies, Lucha Libre companies, where you have a lot of masked wrestlers, I'm like, the masks just add a different element for me. Like they're really fun to look at, really fun to embrace. So I like that. And like I said, bio is important here. And you could read this bio, kind of really lean into what, this superstar can do and those kind of things. So good popularity here as well. So Snake King, this tremendous stuff here. Good ratings for Snake King. So these are your franchise players. You've got a good group of next big things on the list here. Borkin Love Machine Jr., which I already looked at his, and man, you've got some potential here with this guy. So 27 years old, so nice to have there. As always, El Hijo del Fantasma. There's, as always, you get some of these guys stolen away by their companies, but it is worth looking at. You can look at your usual hot prospects here, see who's on the list. Hijo del Vigilante is the top one, but these ratings, again, you can go through and look at all these, but the masks really help, as always, for me, really kind of get sort of embrace the Lucha Libre element. So, and then you can go through as usual all this stuff and see what's there, and that's kind of the big part of that. All right, looking at some of the other elements here, you guys know I like to look at the star quality. This is a company that's got some pretty good star quality, and building into the kind of storylines you're going to play. If you look at this right here, again, if you go through some of these, you've got high 70s, mid 70s, like you got a bunch of pretty decent talents. Hey, there's Jack Avatar again. He's back. So I think there's a lot to work with when you look at it just from the star quality standpoint, who you're going to be the stars you build, maybe is the cornerstone of the promotion, especially knowing that some of these guys could get stolen away from the bigger companies. But that's at least something to look at with that. So I think that's about it with EMLL. Like I said, this is sort of, to me, this is one of the more you make it whatever you want to make it type promotion, that it has the unique elements of not having tag team wrestling. There are no stables. It is one that wants to be built on, as we said, one-on-one matches using sort of they use the phrase, the beat-em-up video game type style. So big characters, that's kind of your draw here. It's just playing into that character element of it. As we said, the dark fantasy type stuff. That's the basis of EMLL. So how you choose to navigate that, knowing that this is probably not a company you're going to necessarily be able to build up that quickly. Not to say you can't do it, but like we talked about the size and those kind of things. But it can be, I think, there's value in being able just to kind of embrace the characters and do it that way and see what you can build out of this. And even again, your goal doesn't have to be, we're going to be the number one company in the world, but embracing the characters is the big part, I think, of EMLL. So there you go. There's some thoughts on EMLL. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, if you played at any of these companies, if you played at EMLL, other companies as well, leave your thoughts and feedback in the comments. That helps other players. Got a lot of great feedback in all the other videos we've done so far. It really helps everyone out. So be sure to do that, and it's always fun to read your feedback. I learn things, as I say every time, just from reading the feedback of you guys and just kind of trying to figure out how I would play a game with some of these different companies and such. So it's always fun to look at that, but that is something kind of cool there. So again, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate the great feedback. Check out all the other videos on the channel, WWE, WCW, AEW. They're all there. More new series are on the way as we continue to move through Exploring the CVerse. And up next, we are going to go somewhere we have not gone before, because we are going to finally head to Australia. As next up in our Exploring the CVerse series, it will be a look at Raw.